Three, two, welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Greg Hectus,
I'm back. I heard all this Canadian slander and about wind simulators while I was gone.
come defend the homeland, Greg, Brad Wren.
The Cup Series is over, NIS is done, and I think I'm ready to get back into oval racing now.
Well, your timing is odd. David Hall.
Yo.
Okay, Mike, and a special guest, Chris Randall.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. On today's show, we will close out the 2025 IRLP Fantasy NASCAR League, take a deep dive into the big problem with sim racing, which drivers credit iRacing for his race finish at Phoenix. Is there a fix coming for the current FPS issues? What is next gen FFB? Has Ace-Tech left you confused? Take a tour of Sim Labs warehouse and Black Friday deals already.
That's right, Mike, and remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
All right, we're going to kick.
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry,
David.
we're not going to go to topic. Sorry. So we will erase all that and let's do our special guest. It's not on the script, so you got to put it on the script, Brad.
Chris Randall. Well, Chris, we met in Discord. You've joined our Discord at the iRacers Lounge podcast, and you're probably one of the heaviest contributors in there, at least top three, maybe. But boy, you really like iRacing, and so, man, we got to get you on the show and talk about your knowledge. And so we're going to go through a Q&A with you today, learn a little bit more about you. So number one, what brought you to iRacing, and then how did you hear about it initially?
Well, thanks for having me on. It's pretty awesome to be here. I have listened to you guys for over a year now. So really, as I was telling Brad earlier, this is really the only chance I get to talk to people about iRacing or sim racing and hear some good opinions of people who actually, do it and know what they're talking about. So appreciate it. But as far as how I heard of it, I have pretty young kids. I didn't play video games for a long time. I had a MetaQuest 3 sitting around. And I said, man, that'd be kind of cool to race with this on. I don't use it for anything else but Beat Saber or whatever. So I did that. I went on vacation about 2 days later and I had nothing to do. So I went down a rabbit hole of sim racing and I had a full rig and Fanatec set up on me, waiting for me when I got back from vacation. And started with a set of Corsa that lasts about a week, and NASCAR is really what I love. So that kind of pulled me into iRacing, and that's where I've been from there.
All right. And so what are you running on a week-to-week basis, or what series do you normally run?
If I get a chance to run anything, I do race in a league. So I do 1 or 2 races a week on ovals. Typically, we're doing an Xfinity or whatever the new name will be now. League, and then I'll run pretty much any oval official if I'm feeling, up for rolling the dice with IR and safety rating, but mostly just league stuff at the moment.
Okay, you kind of alluded to your first setup, which was old OG Fanatec stuff, but I think our listeners want to know, what do you currently use for hardware, like wheels, pedals, etc.?
I'm still running Fanatec. I run a DD Plus, a 15 Newton meter base, which I really like. Of course, I run a lot of Fanatec wheels or use the hubs. But I run triple screens. I don't use VR that much anymore. I have triple 55s, similar setup to yours, Mike. Got a ASR 6 rig, and in about a week, hopefully I'll have a cubic motion system on here. So that's coming this weekend, hopefully.
Whoa, you went big time. Cubic motion. All right, on an ASR 6. Is that just the 4 corners, one on each corner, or what?
Yeah, just the 4 corners. They actually, I think it's I posted something on it in Discord, but Podium One or one of the Cubic affiliates are kind of clearancing out a bunch of stuff right now. So this 220 system was significantly less. Otherwise, I would not have it. So yeah. But right now I run slip angle, 4 corner haptics, and then 2 on the seat. I also have the Moza actives. We've talked quite a bit about that, Mike. So, but yeah, that's what I'm running right now.
The Moza active pedal. Yes, you're the one person I know that actually has one besides me.
I have 2 now, and inverted.
2.
Yeah, I did invert them as well, and that seems to be a way better. I like that setup. Really, I mean, it feels about as close to a car. I mean, of course, any car, depending on what it is, might be different, but it has the most natural feel to me that way. And I never thought that I'd go with the inversion, but lucked out, found the kit, and it works.
I think the biggest question I get about them is, why would you want one as a throttle? And so what's your answer to that when people ask you that?
I never liked any of the throttles I had. I had the original Fanatec. I had the Simpson ones, tried to work with different springs. It always just felt like a spring pushing back on my foot. Long races, no matter what the tension was, it just never felt right. And as you know, with the Moza, you can just adjust it however you want, inertia, friction, whatever you want there. So just, to me, I tried to sit in a couple of cars, feel the gas pedal, and then recreate that in the settings. And it's just a better experience for me. I don't think, much like the brake, you always feel like you're pushing on springs and rubber to some extent. So this just had a better feel for it. But I don't know if it's worth the money. To me at the time it was, so I enjoy it. I wouldn't go back.
Money's only a thing if you want it to be.
That's right. I try to spend other people's money as much as possible to, encourage them to get it, which is what I did with Mike. So
we all do that too.
We spend Mike's and Brad's money.
Absolutely.
So my next question is, with the Cubic, big purchase, you didn't get to try it ahead of time, right? So you had to jump in the deep end and make a choice. How did you make that choice? How hard was that just to pull the trigger?
I haven't thought about it since, so I'm not dealing with that yet as how hard it was. I wanted it, and I ran the BT1, Cubic BT1 belt tensioner, and that was really pretty eye-opening as far as immersion goes. Beyond haptics, that was I would say the most immersive thing. And I just liked it. They took care of me on a couple of customer service things. I've heard nothing but good stuff. I've tried the D boxes before at there's a local sim, racing lounge here in Texas, Central Texas, that I've been to, and I don't know. It just wasn't. I didn't want that one. After getting on Cubic's Discord and talking to a lot of people, I just went with it. So I'll let you know. Also, Race Beyond Matter. I like his content quite a bit. He's big into the motion systems, and he's pretty high on Cubic. So just kind of took what advice and what experience I had, and rolled the dice with it.
Well, look, I think you made a good choice. I mean, I got to try several Cubic systems when we were at the Sim Gaming Expo in Chicago, and Cubic definitely, I walked away with that name as, hey, this is one of the best ones.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Driven Dynamic guys are here in Austin, actually, and I worked with somebody who was friends with them for a while, and theirs is really awesome. But if you're not going to get that, I think Cubic's probably one that's reasonable, high quality, and I'd love to get the slip angle platform underneath it. But my God, that was more than the 4 corner post altogether and the BT1. So that thing was just a bit more. So you're getting really up there in price when you're looking at that thing. But
okay, cool. And then I want to go back to your triple monitors. You went big monitors, as I call it, big triples. What were the thinking there? And do you have any regrets on that? Do you think it's more comfortable?
Oh, definitely more comfortable. I still use VR occasionally. but I just always felt super. One, I couldn't see around me. I know everything's in the cockpit, but I bought all this stuff. I wanted to see it. I wanted to run it. But eventually, I felt that I could just fire up the triples anytime, and where I was getting into VR is more of it was an ordeal to get into it a little bit for me. And while as far as doing the triples, quite honestly, they're TVs, they're TCL 55-inch QLEDs, but they're 144 hertz, and they run everything at 1440p, no problem. So I think it was Black Friday a year ago, and they were $450 a piece. So they were cheaper than a widescreen computer monitor by itself. So it just made sense. And if I didn't like them, I could always return them. But they've been a great investment. Love it, because my whole peripheral and field of view is the car. There is no outside of that when you're in here.
I think the beauty of the big triples is the vertical FOV you get out of it. It really does cover your fields of vision top to bottom.
Absolutely.
Especially if you wear a ball cap or something that wipes out the top.
Absolutely.
All right, well,
it's a great experience.
Let's finish up our questions. What is your most memorable iRacing moment so far?
I wish I had one. I've not won anything of consequence. I've only won one official oval in my time on iRacing. So, every time I get in the rig, every time I get to run a good race, I remember why I like it so much. So it's just one of those things where you get home from work or whatever you've been doing that day, and you're kind of transported away. And iRacing, I think, is the competition as well. That's something I'm getting a little older. I don't get to go play basketball or any of that. I tore my quad playing kickball not too long ago. So anything that's competition wise, it has to be non-physical. And this is about as, good a competition as you can get on that. So I think just anytime I'm getting in a good race is memorable.
Okay, so we're going to have to change that. We're going to have to get you some major wins here on your resume.
Absolutely. I know one of the other guys in Discord, I think, finally got one when he said he hadn't won. So I'll have to get on that train.
And I was goading him on, look, dude, you got to get this done. And he did. And so we'll do the same with you. And, KR, again, appreciate you coming on the show and talking with us about your stuff. And so let's throw it to David.
Well, let's jump into the topics, and we're going to start with celebrating a victory. We talked about this on the results last week, but we have Premier Setups, our sponsor, featuring our victory with Justin Pearson at Phoenix.
Yeah, great sponsor, Premier Racing Setups. I don't think we talk about them enough, but man, what setups did they provide us throughout the year? A lot of our teammates got wins, including me. Justin, I looked up to some of the stats today. He got 3 NIS Open wins with Premier Setups. Chris had 1, I believe, as well. But yeah, shout out to Premier and all those guys over there.
Yeah, the sets have been great. I think we're planning to have them on here, at least have Richard next week or so is the goal. We'd like to try to get a couple of the setup builders on here as well, just to get in and chat, during the off season. But I'm super happy with the sets. You just can't beat it. Especially on the cup side, you're going to get sets from 2 different guys, multiple options, and both of them are very good. So. I think that's been a great partnership. Looking forward to continuing it with Richard and that whole group over there. So, excited for next year already.
One more thing is the notes on those setups that they type up. Man, those are helpful. Like telling you, oh, you should shift, or you should, maybe do an air pressure adjustment if you want it looser, and they tell you what to do. Hey, late in the run, only take 2 if there's a late caution. Those kind of just invaluable tidbits I found very helpful throughout the year as well.
Yeah, then throw in every week on their YouTube channel. They're going to have a track guide for the A car, B car, C car, which what most of us run. But then they also do dirt stuff as well. So, you really get a lot of bang for your buck, I think, with them, whether it's a membership or you're just buying sets, however you want to do it. Compared to some of the other big setup shops, I think much more reasonable price, and I don't think any of us ever lacked speed this year at all.
All right, let's go ahead and talk, Mike, about boxthislap.org, talking about iRacing, a new perspective on off tracks.
Yeah, one of those articles, and you gotta kind of wonder if it's AI written, but I guess you have to wonder that about everything these days. He talks a little bit about track limits. Uh, Ended up being a reflection on fairness and consistency. So, and his big quote is, "Sometimes pixels have more common sense than people." Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I ran across this article. I thought it was interesting, especially after the F1 race at Mexico, and then the debacle that was at the start with guys just taking multiple lanes, and some penalties coming, and many penalties that probably should have come that never came. It was kind of interesting to talk about. I mean, you think about it in the sim. If we have an off track, it's an X. If we have a cut, it's a slowdown. We get it right then and there. One of the things here is, in iRacing, it's instantaneous. You're not having to wait for it. It's not applied at the end of the race. I guess there's just some debate there too. Would it be better to have it added to the end of the race? How would that change? The way you race if you knew you had a 10-second penalty coming at the end of the race.
But it also, that puts you maybe in, could ruin someone else's race. And then that could prevent them from being 10 seconds further down the road.
Well, if you jump a standing start, you'll get a time penalty, right? At the end of the race, I think so.
Will you? Yeah. So, I mean, one of the debates, we all see it, especially with the slowdowns. There's some tracks where you can get a slowdown, and you're depending on what the remaining, what the next 2 corners or whatever is. Sometimes you can actually clear the slowdown, really not by slowing down either. So that's one of the other things that, but that's somewhat track dependent at times.
There's quite a few places at Monza where if there's it also depends on how fast the leader is. I have noticed if I'm the fastest GTP driver, I have to give up more time in a slowdown. Whereas if I'm one of the slowest, like in this last race where I was car 45, a couple times I got slowdowns in the chicanes and never lifted, and they just went away.
Yeah, I'm usually far enough behind where they're telling me you should actually speed up. So, yeah, it's not a problem for me. I didn't get to read this actual article. It was behind or it said I had an ad blocker up, so I didn't really get what the perspective was. But the beginning of that F1 race is a very good example of just chaos. I mean, no one knew what to expect, and I heard Alonso make a couple of comments afterwards about him being able to do it the next time he'll give it a try. So
I think the problem with the F1 is they still go by that mentality. Well, things happen on the first lap. Well, these are the best drivers in the world. Things shouldn't be happening on the first lap. Every lap should be the same. You can't treat one lap any different than the other. And that's, for some reason, that standard is just kept following them from year after year. And, sometimes they decide to give it, like, Lewis got a penalty for pushing Max off the track when Max was going off the track anyways. And it's that Mexico that first turn needs to be redone somehow, where it's a stiffer penalty for the problem.
I mean, it's almost a mile or how long? It's a long run to the first turn in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only way that F1 cars would, stop doing this is if there's something hard to hit there. But they're not going to do that because that's dangerous.
Maybe next year iRacing could coordinate with NASCAR on the road courses and actually put in some kind of digital off-track 1X system.
I don't understand how
they tried that at Coda, if you remember. They tried to enforce track limits, and that turned out to be a mess too.
Yeah, but they tried to enforce
they
it.
didn't have a.
Sorry, David. They tried to enforce it, but didn't bring the proper equipment to enforce it.
Oh, so they were actually going to try to digitally enforce it?
Well, they were supposed to put cameras and have someone that was actually stewarding it and making the decision, but I think it had to do with the same thing that they were using the technology that they have in the pit lanes, where it puts a box over an area and they can tell where the car is gone, but they didn't have enough stuff set up apparently for it.
So you're saying they had a problem? And actually, I'm jumping ahead on the script with my transitions, because before we talk about the problem, we have a reverse problem, and that's a discount. Black Friday sale is already up, and I know most of the guys have already done their 1 or 2 year renewal. The Black Friday sale's up. Use code PR-BFEM252Y.
That's the 2 year.
I did a renew.
Yep, same here. So I think I told you guys I think I'm good till what am I good till June of 28 now? July 28.
Yeah, I did. I just redid mine and my son's this week when this came out.
Yeah, I have no problem giving up money to iRacing. $150 for 2 years is $6.25 a month.
But you still won't buy a new track.
I've been buying new cars actually lately.
Well, tracks aren't
Mexico last week.
Yeah, I mean, once you're up in the 40 plus club, you get the 20% off. So everything's about $10.
21 cents a day is what that breaks down to. So
I feel like this is going to be an ad that I see on TV where you get 20 cents a day to
help a starving iRacer.
In the arms.
Yeah, I was going to say, get the Sarah McLachlan out.
Goes into Mike's dining room and shows his big ass monitors and takes up the whole room.
I don't want to hear people say it's expensive.
You too can help Mike have his 41-inch monitor.
So Mike, what are you making on average when you stream to Twitch?
$4 to $6 a race sometimes.
So you're making bank.
Hey.
Yeah.
So you could support 3 other iRacers as
Mike's going to start a charity.
The iRacing is so cheap. I never want to hear that it's expensive. Oh, it's a subscription. It's 21 cents a day.
The problem with, I think, Mike, the biggest problem is for us who've been around since 2008, it's a steep curve if you want to dabble it and move around and buy tracks and stuff. But because we have that built up over the years, that's where I think people are saying it's expensive.
Or you're gung ho like KR here. Hey, you're all in. You're buying all the stuff. Hey, I'm just going to buy all the content too. Did you get caught up in that train, Chris? Or
oh yeah. I mean, I before I got into iRacing, I and still do play music quite a bit. So gear acquisition syndrome is real along every digital or physical. So yeah, definitely. But you can't go a day on YouTube seeing a video about iRacing where there isn't 50 comments about how expensive it is. And I think people are wanting it to be something it's not. It is what it is. I mean, they run an online system. So
it's the people that play Call of Duty and Battlefield that get it for free.
I think it's like 13 to 15-year-olds that just, I mean, if you don't have the money, I'd be, complaining about it too.
and just remember the value of it. That 21 cents a day, you're getting updates every quarter on the software. They're actually implementing new features and stuff that people want. You get new content available. I mean, there's so much value in it. So yeah, I never want to hear it again. It's not too expensive.
Well, do you want to hear what the problem with sim racing is, Mike?
Yeah, I got this one up. This is Gamer Muscle getting a lot off his chest, with the talking head video. He argues that the high-end sim racing equipment is at a point of diminishing returns and cannot fix the fundamental flaws that are in the simulator software side of things. Couple things. He blames the content creators. The video concludes by placing some blame on the YouTubers and influencers, including himself, for creating a religious hyperfixation on minor differences between equipment through endless reviews, which distracts the community from the more important software issues. Well, let's go before I move on. Any commentary on that, or?
It seemed to be a theme this week among guys, kind of like a meta reflection on either the creation of more and more equipment or diminishing returns. I think there's another one in the later on in the script talking about this from a random call sign, or at least something pretty similar. But
yeah, it's interesting how everybody seems to get on the same message, even in this sphere as well.
It's very much a catch-22 for me. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there, but without that, you wouldn't be making these videos. So I'm not sure that, it's just a product of a hobby. Every hobby's like this.
What, does everybody want to go back to having a G25 and a G27?
No, absolutely not. The whole thing with the YouTubers and the influencers. I mean, look, the one thing that's nice is, and we've talked about this before we went to the expo. You couldn't put your hands on this stuff. And that's what the reviewers and that stuff that help because you can see the information and you can get some info about it before you spend your money. Yes,
better than nothing, right?
It is. And do they cause FOMO? Yeah, they cause FOMO. I mean, that's just the way it is. But that's nature anyway. That's the way it works. That's the way when you see. That's why do we have commercials on TV? Because people want to get you to buy something.
Well, I lost my train of thought.
Choo choo.
I don't disagree with his point on diminishing returns. I mean, it is very similar to audio equipment. Something's going to sound good to my wife, and you could spend $100,000 more dollars. It's going to sound exactly the same to her. When HDTV came out, God forbid I ask her to choose between a regular, picture and HD. She's like, I don't care. I'll watch on 13-inch. So there's that. The guy that's just going to go play a racing game is going to pick up any controller or wheel and not be able to tell the difference. And somebody who does it, I guess, on that level would be able to tell minor differences. But in the end, what you enjoy and not really going to make that much of a difference in how good you are.
And I do remember what I was going to say. Now, we did get a chance to try some of the stuff out, though, at the Sim Racing Expo. And so we understand the different ranges of differences now. And even though there is a point of diminishing returns, and I don't think any of us is going to be spending $120,000 on our motion rig or such, there are real differences. And the video creators, they're not just covering the high end stuff. They cover the cheap end stuff too. They cover the mid range. They cover it all because they got to make content. All right. So I think griping about there being high end stuff is a stretch, though. Yeah, the diminishing returns thing makes sense, but you get that in anything in life. The higher ends you go, the smaller the differences are.
I think Gamer Muscle is a little focused on, iRacing needs improvement as far as physics, tires, cars that slip, different things like that. And so he's one of the guys out there that's a little, more, sticking it to him. But I think his take on this was just, hey, that needs to be the focus. We need to make that better. The hardware is like, way outperforming the software side of it, in other words.
But what are content creators going to do about that? He may be right. There's definitely some issues with the software. All right, Brad, tell us about Broadbent.
Yeah, it's an Instagram post here from Helen2EU. So just kind of gives you a quick background on who Jimmy Broadbent is. I didn't know who he was when I got back on the service. And again, there was no, when I got off in 16, there's hardly anybody making videos and doing all this stuff. But it's kind of neat. Just kind of walks you through where he started and how a guy in his mom's shed, has taken posted and streaming videos of him racing to actually being running a real race car now. So it's pretty neat.
It is. I never really knew his story before this video. I knew he, was started as a YouTube streamer and whatnot, but he was broke. He didn't have anywhere to live, and he ended up in his mom's, shed. Sim racing basically, and getting it on YouTube, and that's what led eventually to him getting in a real car. And like he's a real race car driver. In fact, he did a different video on his channel of where he just bought his own Ferrari for the Nürburgring, and he was showing us him driving his own car around the Nürburgring. It was pretty cool, but obviously led to success with him. He's got several sim hardware sponsorships and different things, and enough to buy a Ferrari.
All right, Mike, I'm giving this one to you because I know you have raced Shane Van Gisbergen, and so has ELZ Indrani.
LZ, Els, I guess is the way Els is how you say it. Look, we met Els at the Sim Gaming Expo, and she is so cute and bubbly and giggly and smiling and just a very happy person. And anyway, you watch this video and you can see her blush when and she just realizes, oh, I'm in the same race with SVG. Oh my God, and she just loses her mind basically.
The post is pretty funny too. She edits it and says, "I think I'm ready for eNASCAR Road to Pro next year," but she finished like 45th. But she's being self-deprecating. Really, she's being sarcastic.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. I'm going to throw one to the guest, Chris. How about you tell us about the next one? This is right up your alley, since you like to talk about sim gear and iRacing.
Is this the Christmas is around the corner we're looking at here? Yeah. So this is Sim Race Life website. I think this was on a couple months ago. I checked it out. They have some pretty fun t-shirts on here. I think they have a few, the world's okayest sim racer and born to sim race, forced to work type thing. But yeah, they're pretty funny. I looked at these. I think my wife was looking at one of these for me a few months ago. So very cool. I don't know if they have much else. They just had t-shirts the last time I looked. But yeah, it looks like that's still all they got.
Yeah, they ask me about my sim rig. No, seriously, is pretty funny.
Well, I like the one that says IRL ? Sim racing is real life. Or, straight out of money because sim racing. I mean, that's a good one for KR.
That is a good one. Yeah, these are all pretty funny. It would be good to maybe get a conversation going with somebody. Like I said, there's not many of us out there in the wild to converse with in real life. So
yeah, things like this are nice to have. Like if you go to a party that you really don't want to be at, you might find somebody else there that enjoys it as much as you do, and then you have somebody to talk to the rest of the night.
Or nobody talks to you and you can leave.
Yeah. All right. I got a race to go to. I actually did. We had Halloween party in our neighborhood, and about halfway through, I had about 6 guys over here in my garage who were like, "Oh my God, I had an idea, but I didn't know it was like this." So it can be, or you can get on the Logitech. Either way.
All right, that's Brian Curry. Thanks for sneaking in there, Brian. Long time no see.
Yeah, finally got to do one of these. It's I've only been racing with you guys kind of off and on for the past couple years, here and there. I kind of, by now, I kind of come and go. Life gets busy. I'll come in and race for a few months, and then you won't see me for a while. But yeah, I figured it'd be nice to finally do one of these.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
100 Newton meters? Is this for real?
Well,
No. Go ahead, Mike.
I don't even see where that would be a thing that would even be necessary. I mean, you're gonna break something. I mean, you break something at 30.
Last night we ran that Daytona, the old bumpy one. I had to turn my wheel down, and it's only 20 Newton meters.
Careful, David. My hands and my arms are still trying to sleep because of that.
You should have turned your strength down. I mean, it was actually affecting the handling. It would jerk the wheel so hard that it would mess the steering up, and the car would all spin out. So I had to turn it down just to make sure I could keep control of the car. But this is a discussion about almost in the same light as the other one, and that software has not kept up with the strength of the direct drive. And then there is a point where you really just don't need that much, and it actually can cause repetitive stress injuries.
Yeah, I think, Mike, I think what my takeaway from this was Kareth talks about, the difference between real racing and sim racing. And there's, again, we've just talked about this as well. There's forces when you're in a car that you get, that's where you get the feedback from. We don't have any of those. We don't have G forces. We don't have that. So most of our feedback has to come through the steering wheel. So the feeling and the forces that we feel through the steering wheel really don't mimic what's in a real race car. You're having to translate the G forces, you're translating the slip angle of the car through the wheel, which you wouldn't get that in a real car. So that's one of the things he talks about. And then when in regards to Newton meters, yes, so a very low end base, you're not going to be able to get the amount of detail and the amount of feedback that you need in order to feel what the car is doing. So yes, there's a point where it's kind of a sweet spot, and I think for most people, we've said is somewhere in that 9 to 15 Newton meters is probably a good area. When you're down in the 1 to 3s, it's just not enough. Really, I think, for you to get the feedback. But then again, you can go too much. I mean, SimLab's coming out with what, 30, 37 or 39? Oh my gosh, 25. And, I was wore out after last night. Absolutely just wore out. So, but yeah, he touches on, again, it's the, hardware versus software. Is the software keeping up with the pace? That's what I said. It's kind of weird how all these, it's like every week, content creators, they seem to, like, I don't know if there's a chain email that goes around, hey, here's what we're going to talk about. But it's interesting. He makes a good case.
Maybe the AI is writing all their scripts. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say to give the average listener a little bit of perspective about what to compare Newton meters to as far as real life force, and I've never been on here with you guys before, but I'm a driver in real life, so I've raced. Give you a little bit of background. I raced, started racing when I was 11, go karts. Went to legend cars to super late models to late model stock cars. I've ran a little bit of everything, and to compare, if I turn my wheel up, which is a sim experience, I don't even know what the Newton meters are on this thing, but if I turn this wheel up all the way, it's more than anything I've ever experienced in a race car before. And I ran a 400 lap race at South Boston one time where the power steering went out about halfway through, and this wheel can produce force more than that. So it's not, anything above, I would say anything above 2025 is probably just, it's just unnecessary.
Yeah, I think that was my takeaway from Kareth's video was he just talks about the absurdity of some of these high in Newton meter wheels. Like, what are we doing as an industry? Do we need this? I mean, we don't. And that was really kind of the message I got.
Mike, do you need the 55-inch TVs that are wrapped around your head?
Right?
Do I need the 72-inch that's on the wall in the basement? No, I don't. But bigger is always better.
The thing though is it's need
But it's
versus
not.
use, because if you can't physically enjoy what it's capable of, what's the point of it?
Bigger isn't always better if you can't use it because it's going to destroy your arms. Right? Mike's TVs not, or unless they break and fall on his foot, are not going to injure him.
That's only if
Well,
Justin's around.
That's true. I mean, look, I can tell you, moving from the SimMagic Alpha to the SimiCube 2 Pro, going from 15 to 25, I have been able to tell the difference when it comes to detail and the way the wheel feels. Just plain and simple. I was, for me to run the strength that I wanted to run the Alpha at, I was clipping a lot, and to be able to run the SimiCube at that same threshold, I'm not clipping at all because there's headroom in the wheel. That's the whole thing. There's headroom in the base. That's the biggest thing I think you gain by a higher Newton meter wheelbase. No, I'm never going to use all 25 Newton meters, but that headroom is what makes it beneficial when you're racing.
So where do you ultimately end up at on your settings to where you feel like you don't experience any clipping?
It's probably that 18 to 20 Newton meters is probably where it's at.
Yeah, my DD2 is, I think pretty sure it was capped at 20 Newton meters, right? And I can see that I'm never hitting the force feedback clipping, and I have it turned pretty high. Even last night when I was at 100% in the Gen 4 car, it was not getting all the way to the right.
They're just beast. Yeah. Look, I'm going to transition right into the next video, also from Kareth. And this is another mini rant video. I guess that's the flow this week. But he basically says the term sim racing is no longer fit for purpose, meaning it's too generic of a term these days to really pigeonhole somebody as a sim racer. There's different categories of sim racing. And so he kind of breaks them down into three. There's the esports group who are out for the ultimate performance, like turning all the graphics down so they're just running at high FPS, or maybe they're a Coke driver running no force feedback on their wheels so they can be ultra precise. They're the esports group. Then you have second the Puritan racing group, where just are in it for wheel to wheel competition. They're in it to race. They're the racers. And then third, you have the ultra immersion and emotion group, the people that are buying the high end systems, the motion rigs, the equipment, the people that are recreating the dash and putting up the window nets. So what category do you fit in?
Well, we know which category you fit in for sure. You're the ultra immersion guy.
I would say I'm a mix of the wheel to wheel competition, Puritan racing, and the ultra immersion. Both.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's where I'd put myself.
I'd feel like I'd be
same.
there too.
I guess I'm more Puritan, I guess, maybe a little bit ultra immersion. I do like the VR because it's really great on the immersion, but I feel like I have an advantage in VR. But I've had VR since I came back to iRacing. It's just the way I want to race. I want to feel like I'm sitting in the car.
Yeah, the depth perception is definitely something can be said for it.
All right, we have us a racing or a sim to real comparison in a tweet from Roger Caruth. He says, "My years of iRacing seat fixed and Road to Pro prepared me to make it out of this alive." And we've got a picture of a 7-wide truck situation.
Yeah, this is from Phoenix last Friday night, towards the tail end of the race restart, and yeah, they 7 wide. Just they came out of it alive too. That's what was surprising, and what's even more staggering is when you look at this, if you see where there's only 2 trucks that are really on the racing lane, and if you were to go to the right of the 7, there's probably 2 more lanes up there, so we probably could have gotten them about 9 wide if we wanted to.
Challenge accepted.
I love.
Oh, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Well, I love that Raja, acknowledges the repetitive times that he's run that C fixed at Phoenix and learned, man, we can go 7 wide on a restart here. And then he takes it into real life and it happens the same there. It's just amazing how iRacing matches up with real life. I'm amazed by it every week, how close we are on the NASCAR side to the real product. I mean, it's just uncanny.
Yeah, I was going to say that was I watched this live, and I was worried for Corey Heim there, but man, he squeezed it down there low, right next to the wall, and I think he was in 10th at the beginning of this restart when he came up there to win it. So I also think Denny tried to pull something similar and just went with 4 tires and didn't get it done like Corey did.
Cup car doesn't act the same, and
Yeah, it's not the same.
and you're
at
also,
all.
if you look at the talent in the truck series compared to the talent in the cup cars, it's a lot harder.
All right, Mike, we got a guide from iRacing.
Just a quick hit. It's a short 1 minute, 1 minute 20-second video. How to get started. It literally will tell a newbie, go to the website, download the content. It shows you how, how to, hit the test button to get into a car, and it gives you the most basic. This is how you do it.
Are these easy to find now in the interface, in the user interface?
There's usually one that kind of flips through there. We'll put these up into the when you go to the homepage, and you got the scrolling thing that just kind of goes through there. They'll pop those up there periodically, but these are they're on their YouTube channel as well.
Better than nothing.
Oh, there's I've actually never looked at the help page, but there's a beginner's guide, broadcast policy. That's a bunch of documents, but they've got a bunch of documents up there on stuff that might be a little bit more helpful. All right. So that's stuff that we didn't have when we first started iRacing, is it, Brad?
No, it's not. So I just had a X post here from iRacing says, "How long have you been an iRacer?" So for me, I guess a member since 2010, but was actually part of the beta back in the day, running the iRock cars when they were starting to work with how to figure out how they're going to do SR and all that back when it was first. So, but officially since 2010.
13 years, I think I'm on.
Mine's 2008 somewhere.
What's your number, Greg?
3,300. I don't know if I'm supposed to be able to.
3,000.
33,000. Sorry.
Yeah, because I'm 43,000, so I was just a little bit after you.
94,000.
56.
25919.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm like a year and a half ago, so whatever that is.
Probably have a 6.
You have a 6.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
If we have any listeners that have a 4-digit number, give us a shout out. That'd be almost a unicorn, I think.
A lot of those guys have already passed away.
That's actually sad to say because there's been some.
No, I mean I'm serious. I mean I remember chatting with David Cater, and he's gone. He left us about 4 years ago now.
Oh, that's a name from the past.
I miss the Cater videos, what they were teaching the setups from the Peak series.
Yeah, he was a wealth of knowledge. He was a great guy too.
Well, since we're now in a down mood, let's go ahead and talk about the fact that iRacing was down for a bit.
They had some database issues. This was back on the 4th, so this was Tuesday. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's been a while. We had that stretch where maybe beginning of the year or last year where it was like under attack and we had all kinds of issues. But yeah, so just some sort of database issues. I mean, these crop up every now and then.
Yeah, they've been rock solid, to your point lately. So this has been a lot more rarer than it used to be.
All right, this one's a quick hit. We have just a few links, but you can go to just about any series, and it's time to vote on the 2026 season 1 schedules. So every one of the major series has a community manager. They put out a form and have everybody vote, and then they submit a recommended schedule that iRacing uses in consideration as they set up their schedule. Now, some things are pretty well fixed. Like I know. Well, of course, NASCAR follows the NASCAR regular season when it's on, and most of the other series do when a track is live. But vote on them. I was just thinking as I was running Monza today. I think because one of the things you can vote on is race links. I think it would be interesting if IMSA wasn't always exactly 45 minutes.
Do like 55, 50, 45 type things.
Yeah, just subtle little changes. I miss the old Europe Le Mans series where they were an hour long instead of just 45 minutes. I liked that length.
I wonder if the Ringmeister has a voting, but it's for the car, obviously, because the car is what changes, not the track. I wonder if I can go vote for the car because they did put the Kia Optima in this season, and that, I'm like, dude, this is a front wheel drive car. I don't want to race a Kia Optima. Come on.
No, where the TCRs run in the Nürburgring, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yeah. It was interesting to say the least.
Have you tried to run the Cup car there?
I haven't, but I tell you, this week is so much fun in that Audi 90 GTO. Oh my God, that's the best car on the service, or one of. It's in my top 5 maybe. And I just bought it on Monday, but man, it's so much fun.
It'd be interesting if next year when Le Mans comes around, if they put the Garage 98 car in, or is it wrong? That's the wrong number, isn't it?
56.
Oh, the one they
Garage
ran, the
56.
NASCAR when they ran a couple years ago.
That would be fun to actually throw that in as a class in on iRacing. I'd consider doing it.
I was gonna say you probably would get a lot of people into that one for the first year of it.
All right. Well, it always ends up being the youth outrunning the older generation, doesn't it, Mike?
Nope, you're wrong. It was Dad Kyle Busch was a tenth faster than Brexton Busch at the uh, Interstate Batteries booth where they had a couple motion rigs set up, and father versus son. They had a little competition there, but Kyle just edged him out.
Father Time will catch him. And yes, I did read it backwards. How old is Brexton now?
Probably what, 12, something like that.
I think he's between 10 and 13.
He's definitely on the
So-
road to be a superstar. I think
So Truck Series in 5 years.
that's the plan.
16, yeah.
Has
Oh,
he-
you can do it at 16 now.
Because
Yeah, I believe so.
him and Harvick's son will probably. I bet you they're gonna race together. In you'll see them in the Truck Series and then O'Reilly Series eventually down the road.
It'll always be the Busch series to me, Greg.
It's the Grand National Series. That's what Earnhardt said, or Harvick said too. I think.
All right, Brad, we've got some professional esports racing, basically, right? That's what category we'd put this in, not just sim racing, but esports.
Yeah, so we talked last week. The first round of the IMSA Esports Global Championship kicked off this past Sunday at Road Atlanta. So 2 classes, GTPs and then the GT3s. Team Redline BMW M took the GTP win, and then the Coanda Esports took the GTD class win as well. So I watched probably about the first hour and a half of this until the Cup race came on. It's a pretty interesting race, kind of marred with some penalties to start. Just mistakes, pushing people off. That's kind of a nice thing when you have stewards watching it and they're actually issuing penalties. But it had 20 GTPs and what do we have? 32 GTDs. So huge field. It was good. These are fun to watch. Again, yes, you've got the high, the professional teams are here. I know Team Redline had Chris Lillum was part of the winning team. So it was Diego Pinto and then Chris Lillum. So Lillum has been tapped by Verstappen to drive, been driving in the GT World Challenge car, and they shared the car that when they ran at the when Max drove at the Nürburgring. So yeah, like I said, these are every couple of weeks. I don't remember what the next one is, but if you have the time, check it out. They're usually pretty entertaining.
Yeah, the last lap video there looks pretty crazy. But yeah, it looks like a pass for the win there on the right at the end.
All right, Mike, are you still having the FPS issues?
No, I mean, it only happens on certain NIS. It seems like, and now that NIS is over, I haven't had that problem. But we do have a possible fix coming hashtag soon. We have a couple of notes here from staff. David Tucker says, we have a very technical issue deep in the heart of the UI library that is on our radar. We are working closely with the developers of the library to try to fix it. I'm not sure when that will make it out to you, but we are making steady progress on it. So he's saying the UI is what's causing it. So I wonder if the fix is to close the UI when we're in the sim.
There's no fixes yet. So Michael Hinkle's also chimed in on this. Thanking everybody for their continued feedback, replays, and all of that. Says this particular problem has turned out to be more complex than it first appeared. Multiple teams across the company have been collaborating to understand how and why it happens. Says they have identified the root cause, expecting a solution very soon, and they are working on this. So, but it's just I don't know. David's response was pretty concerning. Something very deep in the UI. I mean, I guess there's more changes to the UI than we actually realized. I mean, I think at a high level, it just looks like all they did was change the graphics, but obviously that's not what they did.
So the whole back end of it was switched, is what it sounds like. Yeah. At least they acknowledge this, and as Michael said, it's a high priority fix for them, and they're on it. So look, they're going to get it.
Yeah, and last week I had asked if people with certain hardware options were having the problem or not to try to isolate it, and immediately we had some listeners chime in on Discord letting us know, yeah, somebody in VR did have a problem, somebody with an Intel chip did have a problem, so it does not seem to be isolatable in that avenue.
Yeah, I had issues when the last big update came, but I basically wiped out my documents folder and restarted, and it seemed to take care of it. But certain tracks I think are still having some issues. I haven't done Mexico City, but I heard that one was one that was heavy anyway. So
it's heavy, but I didn't have any frame per. I mean, I didn't have any FPS reduction or anything like that. I mean, it's heavy. I haven't experienced it. I was kind of leery going into the Winter Series race last night because I haven't run any ovals, and it seemed to be a lot of stuff on ovals. But I didn't have any issues last night.
I haven't noticed a problem within the sim, but right now I cannot. This is kind of a weird, unique thing. I can't go into Digital Combat Simulator after racing without rebooting my computer, or it'll just never load the plane. So it's got to be memory leak related.
Makes sense.
All right, we've got some free swag. We got a giveaway alert from iRacing. If you want a free t-shirt, we're hooking up every driver who registers for the hashtag ECIS and participates in at least one of the time attack qualifying rounds.
Yeah, College iRacing Series is what that stands for. So if you're want to join that time attack and you're part of the, you can represent as a college student, I think you have to be part of that. They'll end up getting you a T-shirt. T-shirt looks pretty sweet. It's got a truck on it with the eNASCAR College iRacing Series logo and so forth. Cool.
And Brad, we got a quick hit about PRI Sim Racing Arena.
Yep. So we got the PRI show coming up at Lucas Oil Stadium. So they'll have Sim Racing Arenas back. This is being put on in concert with GT World Challenge. So yeah, so just obviously, you can stop by and I guess get some time on the rigs. But yeah, I'm not sure when the actual event is, but I assume it's probably this week.
You have to
What
sign
is
up
the
to race.
PRI?
It's a Performance Racing Industries or something like that. I think it was
Okay.
what it is. Yeah. But it's more of a car show or, truck show, cars and trucks. And
All right, more events. Winter iRacing NASCAR has returned. They're running the 87s again, both open and fixed. They'll be running the same time slots as NIS did. And what else can you tell us about it, Brad?
It's just, I guess, probably the third year probably this is back. They did give a shout out to the 2024 champions. Division 1 was Benjamin Forrester, 2 Logan Edwards, and 3 Nico Lokenan. That was on open. I'm sorry, that was fixed. Then open was Jacob Schneider, Zach Range, and then Steven Donaldson. So we'll begin November 11th. So next week is when things will kick off.
yeah, I'll probably run this Thursday afternoon is my plan. But yeah, I think there were some people pushing for the Gen 4 to replace the 87. Obviously, iRacing decided to stick to their guns on what they have planned. Like you said, it's the third year. So, hey, if you guys aren't busy, this is a good event to run during the off season.
All right, and this next one definitely kind of snuck up on us. I've been paying more attention to the Global Endurance Series, but we've got the 1,000 kilometers of Suzuka coming up. Brad, are y'all putting together anything for this one?
I think William and Will are looking at doing it. I just got to make sure the wife's good. So I think 3 of us may try to run this. So this is all GT3s. So Suzuka's fun track. Should be probably around 6 hour-ish or so. So not a super long day.
Yeah, instead of timed, it's actually a distance, which is unusual for sports car. I guess, well, yeah, it is kind of unusual. It is a team event, like you said. Got to have at least 2 drivers. 1,000 kilometers, which is 173 laps. It has the 5 time zones, which lends to your 6 hour estimate, because they usually only do that for 6 hour or so races. Anything else this week?
Just got the iRacing Grand Prix Tour is back, week 21 of 24, which will be at Autodrome with Jose Carlos. So at Interlagos, and then the Nürburgring Endurance Championship is this is the last week, so week 9 of 9, and this one is going to be, what is this? They changed the cars, don't they? Maybe they're running the same cars. So last week of that. So if that's your thing, hop in.
Podcast housekeeping, leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out our Discord and get involved in the discussion. Hey, that's how Chris ended up on the show. So yeah, get over there and jump in, guys. Don't forget our show notes at iRacersLounge.com. And we are in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network. Get your merchandise at iRacersLounge.shop.
All right, so we completed the final round of fantasy, and we have first we can talk the regular results, and then the full regular season points champion. Brad.
Yep. So the Cup Series finished up their year at Phoenix this past week. Taking the win was iRacing Mason with 236 points. Followed second was Mike Wuju. Tied for third, we actually have I'm Not a Professional, Striker 441103, and then Connor Truman. So I don't think I did as well this week, but I had burned up a lot of my guys, so I couldn't pick the ones I wanted to pick, unfortunately.
Wow, what a race.
For Phoenix, it was better.
So who won the championship again?
That would be Larson.
Larson.
Wasn't everybody on the show here down on Larson, calling him out?
I didn't have a dog in the fight.
I didn't either. I think you got the wrong show. I think you're thinking like the what is it? The show with Jordan and
No. I got ripped apart for something in the middle of the season. I said here about Larson, and it looks like he came out in the end, I guess.
He did. I mean, the summer was kind of a lull for May 1, but still putting up some decent results. But look, the way the playoff format was, you know, we beat that horse to death, so we don't need to go back down that road.
Look, I think things played out how I want them to, as far as beating NASCAR with a club a little bit on this, and the way that they've done their championship recently, the different clown show techniques that they've done recently. I've had a problem with this garbage car. It's all come to a head. And for Denny to lose it in the fashion that he lost it, where he led the most laps, he was driving away with 4 to go. He had that thing in the bag, and they took it from him. With their green, white checkers and their one race take it all and all the other bullshit. And I'm just kind of glad just to smear their face in the dog shit a little bit. Look, we need big changes this season. We need a full season championship or something similar. We need to walk away from this stupid car. Oh man, what a week.
The car's not going anywhere.
Yeah, the car's not going anywhere.
We're going to have some changes with the points.
The playoffs aren't going anywhere either.
I don't think we end up with 36 points to 36 weeks. We probably end up with some sort of something similar to the chase. I hope we don't do a 3-3-4, 4-3-4, or 4-3-3 or whatever. That's too small of a sample size. But look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how the points are racked up. That race ended the way it was going to end, and if the points were that tight, he still would have lost the race. No one took anything away from him. I mean, William Byron went and apologized. They blew a tire. I mean, that's just the way it is.
I agree. I agree in that I don't like. I said it a couple of times in chat. I think the green white checker is a bigger stain than the playoff format, because it's like if this was said on another podcast, it's like a team is down 30 points, and then you just turn around and go ahead and have a sudden death overtime every time at the end of a race or at the end of a game.
Yeah, I have no issue with the race ending in the advertised distance. I never had an issue with it in the past. It's no different than sports car race.
Racing.
It's racing.
It's racing.
It's a 3-hour race. We know what it is. It's a 200-lap race, and it ends when it ends. And if there's a caution with 3 to go, then guess what? The guy that was in the lead, he should have been in the lead, and he wins the race. So, and again, I think it's manufactured drama, and that's where all of this has come from is NASCAR trying to be entertainment, and it's not. It's racing.
Now, and I'm sure most of us feel that way, but there was a vocal, maybe a minority, I don't know the percentage, that hated ending under caution and were calling for the green white checker. It wasn't just something that NASCAR pulled out of a hat. I do remember all the consternation back in the day.
Well,
over.
Arca had it, and Arca did it for years, and I understand that. Again, the whole fan council and whoever I don't know who they ever talked to, because all the years I've been watching NASCAR, not once was I ever contacted for my information. I mean, that's just the way things work. And I at the end of the day, like any focus group, it's probably a very small sample size. And look, Steve O'Donnell said it when he was on Junior's show. They have lost their hardcore fans by chasing people that really never were going to watch the sport to begin with.
Do you think anybody that watched the 1998 Daytona 500 cared about if it was going to be a green-white checkered or ending under caution?
No, there's guys that won races that way because you put yourself in the position to be there, whether it's rain or if it's the checker. I mean, the yellow comes out or whatever it is. So, look, they got egg on their face because Saturday ended in a disaster. Connor Zilic has the most dominating year in Xfinity history, and he doesn't get the trophy. They can say what they want to say. If all the playoffs were done because of Matt Kenseth's 1-win season, well, the Xfinity Series just was won by a 1-win driver that won a championship compared to a guy that won 10 races. So it doesn't. It's full circle, and I'm glad it's gone because they all look like a bunch of buffoons Saturday night.
I would be a
Sense, and I
proponent
had-
of a point system that just pays the winner a lot more, like we're doing in the league.
Well, I had a unique perspective of growing up diehard NASCAR fan in the 80s and 90s, and then kind of leaving the sport. Life got in the way, go in the military or whatever, and didn't watch it. And I came back, and I was like, I didn't recognize what the sport was with stage wins and green, white checkers. And it was just, I didn't follow it that closely when all the changes were going on. But I mean, without my son getting back into it recently, I wouldn't have started watching again. It doesn't make sense. I mean, like you said, if you lead for 400, miles, and then the last 3 miles you get wiped out by somebody and you lose the race because of green, white checker. It all felt hollow after a while. And I think they all realize that.
I think back in the day before the green white checker, we knew watching it, oh, we're coming to 6 to go, 5 to go. Whoever's leading at that second, oh man, if the yellow comes out, they win the race, man. And so you have that excitement at that moment with 5 and 6 to go, knowing this is the race. At any moment a caution could come out and whoever's leading is going to win this. It's just as exciting. I mean, it's just a different type of excitement. A great video today with Kenny Wallace and Mark Martin talking about this, and man, I'm really on the same page as Mark Martin. I guess I'm old, but the way he describes the racing back then versus the way it is now, it's just night and day.
All right, so let's take a quick look at the overall standings. We've got in first place Mike Wuju with 6,992 points, followed by Res Dog 6901. Tied for third was Cletus 545 and Canadrian, and then fifth was AJL 14. So shout out to William Westbrook, finishing sixth, Penguin Racing. So congratulations to a hard fought year, and Mike Wuju, congrats.
He's the winner, right? So Mike Wojo, hit me up in the DMs and we'll hook you up, buddy.
And what will he be getting? He'll be getting some merch from where?
iRacersLounge.shop, hat or a shirt.
Yep. Just thought I'd throw in another plug. All right. Congratulations to all the top 10. I might have to try again next year and see how low I can be again. I did not have good luck one year. All right. Next up, we had our inaugural iRacers Lounge Polar Series race at Daytona. We kicked it off with a very long green flag run, and then we had a late yellow, which shuffled the deck, and Caitlin, I forget her last name, Hedge, something like that. Height was dominating the race. Her and Alan Pajari pretty much broke away from the entire pack. Me and Wesley Pistoli were running in a group by ourselves, or no, it was Dustin Johnson. We were running a group by ourselves in in third and fourth. And then a caution comes out to bring us to like 6 to go. Then we had another late caution and finished up. But congratulations to the winner, Wesley Pistoli. He timed it perfectly. I was pushing Justin, but with this car, we just didn't have enough experience to know how to set up the run. He was wanting me to be on his tail the whole time, but that's not how these work. You have to really kind of lay back, build a gap up, and then get the run going. And we never got the run going. So Justin came in second. I came in third.
Wait. I missed the race because I had to work, but I think Christian Challenger 18th. How's he not win this race?
That was the best
start.
This whole race was awesome because it was more of a conversation that a race broke out while we were having a conversation. To be honest,
Yeah.
they were making fun of Christian. We were asking Christian questions about iRacing, things that they do in the background, things that are coming up in the future. It was kind of funny because I think there was like a 90, was it like 80 or 90 lap green flag run?
We had a caution at the beginning, and then we went all the way to 10 to go. So yeah, it was a 120 lap race.
Yeah, so it was
yeah,
like. Go ahead,
well, trying to leave pit road, whoever was in front of Christian didn't go, and Christian just flat out drove into the back of him and damaged his car. So he was
before we got to the green.
Yeah, he had about 3 minutes of damage even before the race started. So,
and there was a pile up at the beginning as well because people just didn't. I guess they weren't used to the power, and they were running over people on the restarts.
So not a bad turnout, but would love to have some more people, right, David? And so the people can still join, right?
People can still join, and there are 2 drop weeks in the season. Plus, there's prize money. So come take a shot. Not only does the winner get $5, but it's $5 to the person who finishes in the lucky dog position. So we're just going to keep that going all year because that gives us guys who are usually kind of mid-pack drivers, who are going to probably get lapped by Christian every race. It gives us a shot at some prize money.
I can't wait till next week to run Rockingham.
So yep. So Wesley's got $5 and Jake Hickson finished in the lucky dog position. And there were 2 guys that were on the lead lap. So that second caution that came out at the end kind of robbed the other guy of a shot at that prize money. But that's the catch-22. Do you want to get up there and have a shot at improving your position, or do you want to sit back and take $5? All right. So we've got the standings posted here. I'm not going to read them because it's basically going to be the same as the results. But you can see it's pretty top heavy. But there are 2 drop weeks, and you can swing your race almost 100 points in the standings because of the way we have the win being worth 100 points, second place being 80, and then it gets real close down towards the bottom. All right, let's talk some hardware software. Mike, let's open it up with the Elk 6 DOF GeForce Motion.
Yeah, new company I haven't heard of before. I think we saw them in Germany at the Sim Racing Expo, and I looked them up, and they're called Wow. Let's call it Wow Wowo Elk. Wowo Elk, just like it sounds. And they have the Elk GeForce 6 DOF motion cockpit. Big actuators sitting at 45-degree angles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, with a cockpit kind of bolted on top of it. $7,000 US. The video I saw from the expo, it looked pretty cool, and that's why I looked them up. But man, pretty nice looking.
I think if I ever get motion, I think I lean towards the 6 DOF because even the guys with the 6 DOF, it just felt the most immersive as far as what the motion is going to do compared to the 4-post rigs.
Well, there's so many different motion systems at different price points, and so we like to point them out. This one is, 7,000. It's not too bad.
That's upper mid, I would say, right? Or just mid.
Mid to low, I would call that.
All right. Is this motion or just some kind of slide that we're looking
This
at
is
next?
one. This one's for Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I didn't see this particular post, but I do know about this. I think it just is getting released now from Cubic, and it's basically a seat mover. So if you don't have a lot of room for the post or the slip angle platform, this guy is supposed to do kind of substitute for that. But at the same time, the price on this thing I think is almost $3,700 or so just for the seat mover. So I haven't seen any of it in motion, so I don't really know what the actual product looks like, but it looks like it's got a pretty good amount of up and down heave there just from that picture.
And it's compact. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like real big. It just kind of sit right underneath the seat.
Yeah, I'm on the Abruzzi's website and I cannot find it.
Wasn't a Bruzy? Didn't they make apparel?
There were gloves. I think they started out with like gloves and racing shoes and stuff. But yeah, they start selling hardware like a year ago.
Speaking of that, my Bruzy racing shoes.
Yeah.
So on the Cubic website, it
Stay in
actually
your
shows a little picture here of the movement, and it basically is like just think of having 4 posts, but on your seat is kind of the gist of what it's doing.
They do call it 2D DOF, pitch and roll.
Yeah, and it looks like you can also strap the belt tensioner directly to it. They have how it fits in there, so it'd be pretty cool. But I mean, I think you can get their low end actual motion for similar. So I definitely think it would be a space requirement. Somebody looking at this one.
All right. So force feedback 2.0 is here. Is this for a specific rig or a specific base, Brad?
Yeah, we got a video here by Dan Suzuki. This is talking about the V&M simulation wheelbase. I think he's running the whatever their ultimate one is, like 32 Newton meters. So he's this is his daily driver, him, and then even I think oh geez, what's his name? The Chris, you had mentioned him earlier. I can't think of it. Race Beyond Matters. Both of them
Yes.
are using the V&M now. So he kind of walks through the base, talks quite a bit about the telemetry, force feedback, and the benefits of that. It gives it a lot of praise. Has some downsides to it too. I mean, the software, while the software is good, it's not very clean looking. It just looks like, I think he said, it's like jumping back to 1989 when it comes to software. Look,
Winamp or something.
Yeah, I mean, look, I spent a lot of time looking at the reviews on V&M before I ended up pulling the trigger on the SemiCube, and I was leaning really heavy towards this, but I don't know how long they'll be here. I hate to say that. I mean, when it came to pulling the trigger, I mean,
Are they out of Vietnam?
they are.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, when it came to pulling the trigger, SemiCube's been there for 6-8 years or whatever. I don't think they're going anywhere, but I think this is a very good option. Per price per Newton meter, very, very inexpensive. And again, the thing continues to get very, very good praise. And again, this has got the telemetry built into it. What SemiCube 3 has, what VRS has, we'll touch on in a second. And I think this is going to probably end up coming to most of the bases. I know SimMagic is working on this as well with their Evos. And then even there's been some discussion on the SemiCube Discord of trying to bring the telemetry back into the SimiCube 2 as well at some point once they get the SimiCube 3 straightened out.
I was surprised. V&M, it was on our radar maybe a year ago, and it kind of fell off. But after this video from Dan Suzuki, who I really do trust a lot of what he says, man, he has some very high praise for this unit. And so I think I was mentioning in Discord, I think you got to put V&M in the top 5 now, easy, for best base to buy. Maybe even top 3.
And this has the new. Is this the one that has the new? I think they called it like tick mode, where it's mixing.
Tick, right?
And so I'm a little ignorant on the force feedback, the telemetry force feedback versus, I guess, what they would call direct force feedback, and what the difference
comes through
is.
the API. When they say
Okay.
telemetry, that means it's feeding from the API.
Okay.
And so the tick mode he mentioned is a blending of those two. It has like a slider, and you can blend in what we would call the normal direct force feedback with the telemetry force feedback, and maybe have like a 50-50 mix.
I feel like Marvin's does a good job of trying to accomplish something similar. I don't know if technically it works in the same way, but it definitely is different than the direct. And I find it to be pretty detailed.
I think Marvin is direct, I believe. I don't think that's telemetry based.
I don't think it is. I was reading somebody just trying to describe how it's similar, and I think it was part of how they can dial in and out, like how he's got the details separated out. But again, it's beyond me. I haven't looked in close enough. It's relatively new, so I haven't dug into it, and I don't have one, so I'm just kind of going off of what I read.
Do we know if there's any difference in the latency between the two different types? Because I was actually looking at the next article as well, and it was making me think about this. When we spoke to one of the guys with one of the motion rigs that was set up at the expo, he mentioned that the iRacing telemetry had high latency, I guess, compared to some of the other software.
Well, it's because of the 60 hertz. So even when with them releasing the 360, it's 60. It's the game runs at 60 hertz. So to get to the 360, they're basically having to, I guess, to double it up or whatever they do.
Well, hertz, 60 hertz isn't quite latency. Latency means that all the data is always a little bit behind, where you can have a very low latency 60 hertz signal, or you could have a very high latency 360 signal. In fact, I've heard some people say that the latency goes up at 360 compared to 660. Latency means that there's like an echo to the signal, like the telemetry is coming out way later compared to when it is actually happening visually.
Yeah, there's always going to be latency between the sim and then the hardware. I mean, we experienced that. I think, Mike, we jumped on one of the first motion rigs we jumped on when we got there. I think it was over at the VRS thing, and we all felt like it felt odd. You felt like you were behind the whole time, and I think that's where you see that latency kick in. If you guys remember, we were trying to turn laps at Indy, and everything just felt very off.
It also had really bad FOV, if you remember, at that rig. And
yeah, that was I do remember that, and it was hard to drive because of the delay. But then also the VRS wheelbases were clipping. They didn't have them set up right, and they were clipping as well. And I remember telling the guy standing there that was trying to run the booth, "Hey, dude, your base is clipping," and he looked at me like he didn't know what I was saying.
Well, you mentioned VRS, so VRS is talking about next gen feedback, Mike.
Yeah, so we got a post from them on Instagram that talks about VRS next gen FFB, zero lag, zero compromise. They're delighted to announce the beta release of it. Basically, it's their version of the next gen, what they call next gen force feedback. I assume this is their answer to the telemetry feedback that all the others are doing.
Yeah.
exciting times to be into wheelbases right now. Yeah, I don't know anybody who has a VRS.
No, I use their service, but I never bought any hardware from them.
So looking at the post here, it says new VRS next gen force feedback filters apply up to 100% of a cycle sooner, acting in unison with the simulator's output. So this not only introduces zero latency, but also delivers a far smoother and connected driving experience. Previous compromises between smooth feel and reactive force feedback are no longer necessary. So interesting.
That's an interesting boast because I don't know if the software from iRacing can give you zero latency.
It's so hard to compare any of this stuff to even feel a difference. I mean, I have a second rig for my son, and even jumping back and forth, you forget what one feels like from going to the other very quickly. So some of this stuff I think is like we were talking about earlier in the show. It's just beyond me. I'm not processing any of this stuff fast enough anyway. So it could be latent. It could not be latent. It's not going to really matter to me on the track.
But being a musician and doing sound engineering and actually lining up songs and production, I'm a little more sensitive to micro tuning like that.
Yeah, well, with music I am as well, but I'm just not there racing. So it's like, somebody without any rhythm snapping along to a song. They don't feel any different.
So just continuing to look at this. So powered by advanced digital filtering and our breakthrough prediction filter, the next gen force feedback analyzes incoming data and predicts what's coming next. This allows the wheel to react before the simulator does, cutting perceived latency to near zero while keeping every detail intact.
So it's kind of like there's an option with that in graphics as well, isn't there? Where it's actually predictive rendering,
like a frame or two ahead or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So that's what they're doing, is they're basically kind of using AI to guess what the force feedback's going to do. That might work. All right. Arc Dynamics is at the Sim Racing Expo. And I think these guys' monitors might be bigger than Mike's.
Well, look, this is just a good video to show off the Arc Dynamics motion rig, which I believe is $5,500. This has got to be one of the best, lowest price motion 6DOFs there is.
This is the one. Now that I actually watched the video, these guys were at Sim Expo as well, or at the Sim Gaming Expo.
This is a video from there, David. Sim Gaming Expo, right? And this video, he's not in iRacing. He's in some other off-road type sim. I don't know exactly what it is, but man, the movement is good. And when I tested all the different motions there, this one came across to me as the one with no latency, with no delay. It actually was one of the best feeling ones out there, and the price was a fraction of some of those others that were 150, 200,000 and so forth.
So the title says Sim Racing instead of Sim Gaming.
Yeah, I'll fix that. My bad.
But this is the guy that said iRacing's telemetry has a high latency. So that's interesting that you mentioned that, Mike, because he wouldn't run iRacing on it for that reason. That was one of the reasons he didn't want to run iRacing on that rig. This was a pretty neat rig. This is the one where he had the other one set up showing what it was doing as well as a seat. This is the one that's laid down for the audio listener, but that's being held down by weights. So you could use it and also use it as your weight rack in your weight room if you want.
I was going to say, you're going to throw some 45-pound plates on there.
Well, you can see the other one he's not on. The second one, it's literally bouncing around the floor because he doesn't have weights on that one.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of Ed 209 from RoboCop back in the day. It's a very intimidating piece of machinery that just seems to be herky jerky. You put your hand. My kids, I'd have a kid without a hand
finger
with
off
that
there
thing.
Real quick.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I mean, it looks like it'd take an arm off, maybe.
And this one is actually the DIY one as well.
Oh wow.
There's a lot of self construction in it, I believe.
What a price, 5,500.
All right,
It's got RGB.
Brad. Since they're your favorite designer, take the next one.
Yeah, we got a video here from Rom Rom. So it's the first time I see this guy, but now all of a sudden, of course, since I've watched one video, that's all that's showing up in my algorithm now. But so he says, Ace reveal has left me confused. So he was at the Sim Racing Expo and had a chance to interview one of the guys with Ace, and then he just runs through. It's not a real long video. It's about just under 4 minutes, but there were some new products that they were, I guess, showing off. New shifter, handbrake. But when he tried to press him, can you tell me when we may see him? I don't know. Any idea on price? I don't know. And then there's the talk of another mod coming for their brakes. Again, can't really tell you when it's coming and whatnot. So again, just kind of I don't know. If you're going to go to the expo, you need to try to probably give some decent updates on when things are happening. I know that you can't give specifics on prices. I mean, like I said, the Sim Gaming Expo, spent 30 minutes talking to Richard from SimLab, and he was very upfront. It's like, hey, it's going to be beginning of the year. It's going to be this price. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, just, I don't know. Ace just rubs me wrong all the time. It just does.
Yeah, I don't think that they're not selling, or at least they're not really pushing here in North America either right now, or US.
No, I think it's one of the questions even asked as far as, when do you expect to have maybe, a US distribution sometime. We don't know. We're still navigating that.
Yeah, that was his answer to pretty much a lot of it.
All right, this next one's a quick hit. You can now get Sparco seats at Walmart. So I suppose since I live at Walmart headquarters, I don't live at the headquarters, but I live where the headquarters are. I could just, pull right up. Actually, you pretty much would probably have to get it shipped. This is not something I've seen on the shelf when I'm walking down the bread aisle.
What, you mean you can't put it in your shopping cart and go home?
Look, Walmart is basically Amazon these days. If you look closely at the screenshot, you'll see in the lower right, it's sold and shipped by Advanced Cycle Parts. So it actually doesn't even come from Walmart. You're just buying it at Walmart.com, their app or the website. Chris Waldron, you just jumped in on the show. You and I were trading links this week about Sparco seats, and I sent you this one from Walmart. How is the price compared to what else you were looking at?
I've actually been looking for the seat for a couple of years. I've been hoping to find it used on Marketplace or something, but this is a little higher. I think I think there's a few different versions of the Sparco circuit too. This might be like a notch up. I think maybe this one has a little bit more carbon fiber in it and stuff, but it's a couple $100 more than the one that's on Amazon. I think the one on Amazon is like 1,049, and I did find a good price on this seat one time. Our teammate Justin was at Tony Kanan's sale in Indy, and they had this seat for 300, and I missed it. I didn't check my messages in time, but missed out on that one.
You don't want to use Tony Kanan's seat, do you? Oh,
If Justin's
Wow.
using a shaft, why not?
Yeah, that wasn't used stuff. That's all that stuff that was donated to raise money.
oh.
That
So
one, I saved the picture. It was used. They had a lot of lint on there.
All right, we don't really have a Moza rep on the show, so Mike, tell us about the two Moza videos we've got listed here.
yeah, so we got Moza R21, the Moza R25 Ultra, and Lawrence Dusoswa, Kareth, are some of the videos. There were some others. I only got a couple of them on the script, but I mean, what a value! It's $900 for a 25 Newton meter wheel. Really good value. Lots of good things to say about it. I don't know if it's in my top 5 wheelbases, but like we talked about before, I mean, with wheelbases, we're at the point of diminishing returns, and you can pretty much buy any brand, and you're going to be happy with it.
I kind of bought mine just before these got announced, and it's like, I probably would have liked the 21 at the rate that at the amount it's for, compared to my 12, but my 12 seems to be doing what I need it to. Considering I haven't raced much recently, though.
Well, you went from a belt driven to that, right? And so that was a big change for you, even though it's a lower Newton meter.
Yeah.
All right, break out your Italian accent to talk about the next one, Brad.
We got an Instagram post here from Wave Italy Official, and this is the all new Lynx 2.0 fully customizable sim rig. So it's neat looking. It's got some pretty cool colors, and it's all 80/20. I'm sure it's probably well overpriced for what you're actually getting. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's 80/20, and anything that Wave Italy does is very expensive.
Slanted uprights again. I'm just not a fan of that. And then what is this? Where the seat is, there's some kind of surround that goes over the 80/20 rig. I don't really get it.
It's probably just decorative. Just
Decorative, yeah.
yeah.
It's not
But
functional, right?
no, and if
No.
you'll notice, the base is also not 4 slots wide or 3 slots wide through the entire distance. It narrows up, so I'm curious what that would do to the sturdiness of it as well.
I mean, it's neat with they've got the inserts that are on the inside of the uprights to where you can customize those. And again, I mean, their stuff looks nice. I mean, if it's going to be in a retail thing or some sort of car dealership or something, but just I don't know, it's just not practical to me.
I feel like you got to be way more customizable for your personal rig. There's just too much stuff you want to change after a few months or a few weeks, or just things happen, and you kind of bought in if you're on this kind of rig where you don't have that.
All right, Richard from SimLabs takes us on a tour of the SimLab warehouse. Right, Brad?
Yep, this is just a kind of a quick hit. They're geared up for Black Friday, so he's just kind of walking you through, and you see the amount of hardware, the amount of stuff that's sitting ready to be shipped, rigs, wheels, I mean, all kinds of stuff, and you kind of get a few shots of where they test their products. They've got a shifter that is on some sort of automatic rig that's probably being run hundreds and hundreds or thousands or millions of times, for quality assurance and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's he's got a lot of inventory in there. And I don't know what they sell globally, but to me, that just looks like a lot of stuff that's on the shelves.
Yeah, they're full-fledged. I mean, you can tell by the warehouse, like you said, they got it stacked to floor to ceiling and yeah, full-fledged.
And that's not a little warehouse. That's a warehouse.
Yeah, I mean, he said when we talked to him at the Sim Gaming Expo, I mean, they're working on U.S. distribution and actually having a warehouse in the U.S. So you can get some stuff through Micro Center, but they are working on actually having warehouse here in the U.S. For shipping, which would be great.
All right, we almost got to them all, but we're coming up a little short on time, so let's jump to the results, Mike.
All right, results. Last NIS. Well, first before we jump on NIS, we have the IRLP Winner Series. David, you were P3. I think we already covered this.
We covered the podium. We didn't cover everybody. So we talked about what happened. Yep. P3. Justin was P2.
John P21.
Yeah, he got involved in that first big accident and rode around for a while and then left.
Brad P17.
Yeah, typical. I was running P3 when iRacing decided to go ahead and dump me. never get dropped from anything else, and no internet-based application was affected by iRacing. So came back 2 laps down, ended up with 2 speeding penalties. Again, had a great time just kind of driving around, and like Greg said, we were trying to solve all of NASCAR's problems while we were racing.
The laps went by so fast. I didn't even realize what we had gone through a whole green flag cycle while we were chatting about stuff. And even David got thrown off when Brad. I think was that when you got kicked, Brad? Is when David missed.
Yep.
Yeah, I was focused on the fact that Brad was losing his connection, talking to him about it, and I was running with the lead pack when that was happening, and they all pitted, and they announced it, but I didn't hear them announce it because I was just, I ran out of bandwidth with my ears at that point.
You were right in front of me, and I'm like, "There's no way he's no, he's gone. He's gone. He's just gonna keep driving."
Yeah, Chris, where'd you end up finishing?
Oh, I ended up 19th. Or Chris,
19th.
the other Chris. There's 2 of us here now, but
You go first.
oh, I was on the part of the lead pack there for about 20 laps, and somebody pulled in front of me. I lost the draft, and it was downhill from there. So
Yeah, I think I ended up P11. I missed the start. Putting the last night was bath night with the 2 kiddos, so that helped me miss that. And then caution got me back up to the pack, and then I got loose on the bumps. But it was fun. It's a good group of guys, and even a girl on there too. It was a good group of folks to hang out with, and like the guy said, the time flew by.
Yeah, we did 300 miles in less than 2 hours. There's a couple of guys that I hope you're listening that hesitated to come in because they thought the race was going to be too long. But no, we're not going to have huge caution fests, knock on wood, in this race. I mean, even the guys tend to just not race over their head. And like I said, basically we're not going to have a bunch of rules and penalties and reviews of the cautions. But I mean, we mentioned how both us and Alan, our former runner, who sticks on as a kind of an advisor to us. We're handling things, but he can tell me anything he wants basically at any time. And we mentioned somebody who caused one of the problems in one of the Phoenix races, and he immediately knew who it was. We could all just about list of people who none of us will let into that league.
All right,
it's people who drive like Carson Hocevar.
So if you guys aren't in the league, get with David, DM David, and get involved, guys. We need more people. Let's move to NIS final finale. Phoenix. David, you had a P5.
Was this Friday? Yeah, P5. Don't really remember much about it. The guys in front of me were faster, but I had good long run speed.
Good run. Chris Waldron. Hey, before I talk about your result, I did look up your points, and you finished pretty good in the points as well. So anyway, P14. Chris Waldron, P14.
Oh yeah, well P14 for it was my last NIS. It ended up being in top split, and I was in there with what's his name, Sean Conklin, I think, who's winning the championship in Division 1. And I was pretty high IR, and I just kind of wanted to hang, so finished a lap down. I stayed out late, just hoping to catch a caution, and didn't catch it, so I went a lap down when I pit, and then but got me some points and helped gain me one more finishing position to finish Division 2 P6. And it's my first year. I ran a full season. I got every race, and just definitely want to thank Premier Setups. I know they just signed on with us for another year as sponsorship, but we had fantastic setups with them all year. I think the whole group, we saw success, top to bottom on that. And then Sim Raps, Bobby for doing the cars and different paint schemes. But P6 and points, Division 2, it's not too shabby. I'll take it.
Yeah, well done. P6, you did the best out of all of us on the team. So special shout out for that. You got 2 wins, I looked at some of the other points. David, ended up 14th in Division 2. Justin got 16th. I was 41st. Ouch.
I didn't even run the whole
33.
season. That's crazy.
Yeah, I fell to 30 something.
But I did have a really good runs at Phoenix.
So, David, if you would have stuck in it, you probably would have top 10.
Yeah, I did not look at the points all season because I just didn't want to know. I didn't want that. I guess I didn't want to obsess over it and turn it into a chore or something. But no, it just got to where it was no fun to race. I came back for Phoenix because I knew I could. I knew that was one of my better tracks, and I was hopeful that the longer distance would allow things to shake out a little bit differently, and they did for the most part.
Sunday Open, NIS, David P12.
Yeah, this one I was again running really well. I was running like 6th or 7th. We were on a late restart, and another guy who will never run in any of our leagues just came down, and I had no idea what his issue was. I exited low. I stayed low because we were on a restart, and I was just protecting the inside. He's on the outside. He comes down and just starts ramming me in the back and spins me out, makes me bounce off the wall, which takes him out in the process. And then I give him plenty of mean words as I can say without getting chat banned, right? Then he comes and I pulls up beside me and I swipe at him, not to try to wreck him, but just to nudge him. And then he proceeds to spear me 3 times and give me 16x in one lap. He definitely got disqualified for the race, and I haven't seen him run a race since then either. So he should be spending a little time off.
Nice way to end the season with that. Moving on to Ringmeister. Wow, bought the new car for the Audi 90 GTO. First race top split, started dead last 28th, made my way up to finish P13. Wow, what a fun, powerful car. One of the best experiences I've ever had on iRacing. I absolutely loved it. Second race started dead last, 23rd out of 23, got to 5th by the end of lap 1. But then later I stuffed it in the wall and fell back to finish P9. Still a fantastic first lap. Man, that's a blast. Like, you can hit the wall with this car and it'll still go. It's almost indestructible. Next race started dead last. Again, P22, I finished P4. I actually started getting blisters on my hands, and it started to wear my gloves for the first time in a long time. Next started 4th, got to 3rd, wrecked by myself in that little banking U-turn thing. I don't know what they call it, but I fell back to 9th and recovered up to 5th. Next race started 7th, going up the hill. I was trying to pass a guy on the right, ended up in the grass, trying not to hit him. And then I was slow, and then the people came rushing up, and I got creamed, DNF. And then today I started P3, finished P2. Man, I feel like I gave up a win there. I had a moment where I kind of wrecked. The guy got by me, and he ended up winning the race. And so I felt like I got one that slipped away. I certainly hope I can win in this car this week before it's over. IMSA, David, P4.
I think he might have did bathroom break.
Then we moved to Brad, P12.
Yeah, it's Monza. I never have good races here. Wrecked. Looked like to be an okay race. Ended early. I put up the video in the chat, after it happened. But heading into turn 1 into the chicane there, and I make the right hand turn. I'm getting to make the left, and all of a sudden this McLaren comes out of nowhere and just destroys me. And while I'm sitting there getting my 9 minutes repaired, I go back and look at the video and just only to see that he gets turned coming down the straightaway and then just turns into a rocket. Not his fault, but just the track hates me. Just what it is. Just hates me.
League racing, grassroots racing, William, P4, maybe had a chance for second, but I took tires like a dummy on the first stop. Cold track had nowhere, came out of the pits about 4 seconds ahead of third and fourth, but spun it in turn one on the outlap. Lost about 8 seconds, dropped to fourth, started to fight, and I thought I could catch them, but a lap car got in the way and I lost the draft. It was never close after that until the end of the race. Good result, but sabotaged myself from a better one. Brad, P dead last.
I think I didn't even go back to look. It was just a bad night. So horrible qualifying. Screwed up. Had a good lap going and got 2 free coming through. I think Lesmo won, and that killed the lap. So started deep in the field, was pushing really hard, trying to gain spots, and just ran out of talent. I lost the car, ended up taking out a couple other guys. Just kind of in a rut right now. I'm not enjoying it. Just plain and simple. Not having a good time right now.
David, DNS.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this because I like Monza. I'm pretty decent at Monza, and I thought I might not be the slowest car on the track. So I'm like, hey, now that the times have shifted, I'll jump on and instead of running the practice time, I'll run an IMSA. So I get on Discord, I'm running an IMSA, and then I go to sign up for the race. Discord's still empty, and I go to sign up for the league race, and it's already closed. So the endurance races start a half hour early. I didn't know that, and nobody came on Discord. So I was in there all by myself.
Yeah, I didn't jump in there because you weren't in there. So
I was in there. I was on Discord from 8 Eastern.
yeah, I was the one before then. So I don't remember. I opened up. I think it opens up at like 7:30. I think I was on then. So
I was on there. I was actually on there at 7:45 Eastern because I was running the IMSA race that starts at 8:45 or 6:45 my time.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, Elbows Out Racing League. William, P13, got wrecked on lap 7, was running 6th and got a huge run on 5th out of Ascari. Went to what would have been in the inside of the Parabolica, and he decided he was going to squeeze me. I did come off the right shoulder slightly, so not sure how the stewards will see it, but it was just silly racing by that guy. I had caught him by 3 seconds over the last 4 laps, and there was no way to pass. I wouldn't have finished by the end of the straight before iRacing Glue took over, and I flew into the wall. And that's it. Final thoughts, Greg Hectus.
It was just nice to get back and racing with you guys on Wednesday there. I had to listen to the podcast the last couple of weeks because we've had some house showings, so I wasn't able to come to the podcast at that time. I had to listen to the Canadian slander from David asking if there's a Canadian Thanksgiving and what that even means.
I didn't ask if there was. I asked if it was earlier.
It is earlier. It's a month earlier.
I think they're thankful that they use our military to protect them.
I thought it was during the Stanley Cup Finals.
Do they even print history books up there?
See up there. You've got the
Down
globe
there?
upside down.
Down there, sorry, down there.
Okay,
Anyways.
Brad Wren, final thought.
Yeah, like I said, kind of in a funk right now. Just can't seem to get out of my own way. I don't know. It is what it is. NIS is over, like I said at the start. So I'm gonna try to probably get back in, maybe run a few A opens, and I like over racing, but the NIS stuff just got to be just way too much. And when you're having 18 and 20 cautions a race, it's not fun and it's miserable. I'll be ready to do it again next year and hope it's better. But yeah. So, Chris, thanks for coming on. I hope you had a good time and I hope you come back. Yeah, it's off season. Let's have some fun.
That's right, off season. Chris Waldron, final thought.
Well, so like I'm almost opposite of Brad. So I did a draft master the other night and won the race and hit the 4,000 I rating, and woke up the next morning, had a text from Mike at like 3 in the morning that said, "Hey, here's a message from 2023 where you weren't doing very well. You got demoted. I couldn't break 2,000, and then we're sitting here, you know, sixth in points for NIS and 4,000 I rating." So I had fun with that, and then off season's just about having fun. I don't care what I rating is. If it's late models, SKs, if it looks like a fun race, I'm joining it, and I'm going to be having a ball. But can't wait for the Daytona 500 and the Daytona 24 and having a good time. So it's and special thanks to you guys too for helping me get there, because every one of you gave me tips along the way to make me a better racer. So thanks for helping me hit that 4,000 mark. So appreciate you guys.
Look, that's why I texted you, because I like to point out how this team Tifosi has molded you into a much better racer than you were before you were part of this team. Like, you were struggling, you weren't getting it done, but it's not just me, it's everybody on this team that you work with that has gotten you to this point. And so, you're a hell of a driver, Chris, and that's why I brought you on this team. And I think you just proved it this year.
Yeah, thanks. And like you said, we get tips like when we're doing a race together. Somebody say, "Wow, you know, we're let off at this point instead of that point, or whatever," and like, "Hey, you know, maybe tweak that right rear a little bit." And Dave's good at giving tips like that. And Justin and Bobby helping on the draft tracks has been awesome. So it's definitely a close niche team here. So appreciate everyone.
All right, well done. David Hall, final thought.
Well, to quote the wonderful documentary named South Park, blame Canada. Actually, no. I want to say thank you to all the guys who ran the league race Monday for being the group of racers that are nice to race around. They'll race hard, but they don't make the same kind of bonehead moves. Now, mistakes happened, and I felt a little bit bad for the guys who got caught up in the first big one, and they were begging for caution for the first 90 laps. But I was like, no, I can't. I don't want to get into race manipulation, because if you try to help one guy who's had bad luck, then what about the next guy that has bad luck? Put you in a rough situation. So we try to we have to let iRacing handle the cautions pretty much. The only thing we will do is we do remove cautions if you get spun into pit, or yellow flags if you get spun into pit road and things like that, because the race control is not what it needs to be. But I think that's fair, because that applies for everybody. If you get a bogus caution, we'll clear it. So thanks for coming out. We'd like to see some more at the next race. It's Rockingham.
Rock. All right. And special guest, Chris Randall, thanks for coming on. Your final thought.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. Looking forward to the league. Looking forward to being more involved here. I have to say a shout out to my son, Evan. He's going to be listening, so I told him I'd say his name on here. But yeah, league race was fun. And yeah, I hope maybe to get some of what Chris got and get a little bit better hanging around you guys. So appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're happy to have you. My final thoughts. Wow. 13 years on iRacing. I think I've done it all. And then I go buy a car that I don't own. Holy moly. I was just blown away by how good of driving that car is. It's just a pleasure to drive. Guys, go buy it. I'm not lying to you. This is one of the funnest experiences on iRacing. I had no idea what I was missing out on. So I continue to enjoy the Nürburgring, Nordschleife, Green Hell. I'm just thriving over there. We got regulars that run that series, and now I'm making friends with those guys, and so we've been out having a lot of fun. I'd like to see everyone show up over there. It's great for the off season. Gen 4, oh man, I want to run Gen 4, but nobody is showing up. Even this week, even at a bigger track, it's a ghost town. And so I'm really disappointed in that. I don't
Called
know
that.
what to do about it.
Called it. Knew it was going to happen. Everybody wanted it.
Yeah, and nobody runs it. And with that, hey, we'll see you on the track later. Okay, title ideas. We have 2.
Number 2.